Hi, this is Raj from MR Sportscars. This is another episode of Diary of a Porsche Specialist. I wanted to talk about the Targa models of the 911 because they're pretty special. There weren't very many made. They were much less popular than the coupe and the cabriolet. And I've had a couple of these in stock this year now, and I did do a quick video of talking about the differences between this and the convertible that the body shell is based on. But now I've got another example in, and I wanted to highlight how it drives, as well as go over the functionality, the practicality of these cars, and also the collectability. Now these cars were based, as I said, on the convertible body shell. So here is a line here which shows that this whole metal frame is essentially removable. It's separate from the rest of the body, and that means that it essentially has probably around the rigidity of the convertible, but it has the practicality of the coupe. Now this glass roof here, this bit actually drops down and slides into this area just in front of this window here in the cabin, and I'll just show you how that works. So you have some controls here. You have one for a blind and one for the roof mechanism. So preferably when the engine's running, because that's putting a little bit more power into the motors. You can run it without the battery, without the engine running, but it's best to sort of run it with the engine running, so it doesn't put too much of a strain. And there you have sort of the open layout, so you've got a nice airy cabin as a result of that glass roof being taken out of the way. So even in winter you can have the roof down without worrying too much about you don't get any buffeting, and I'll show you that when I drive the car. I mean, this is a lovely car, basalt black leather, lots of lovely aluminium features which I've never seen personally, so nice to have that with chrono, PDK, Sport Plus, PASM, all of the electronic upgrades including bows and red belts. There we go. But I'll just close that now again and show you that blind. So there's an electric blind, which is another button just under where my finger is. So I'll just operate that, and that's nice and quick. So if it's really, really sunny and you don't want the sun coming in, you can have that put across. So it doesn't, I mean, you can still see the sky through it, but it just blocks out the bright sun basically, and it's nice and quick to remove that as well. But the other added benefit of the Targa is, for me, what really is the killer feature of the Targa 4S, the Targa 4 as well, which is you have this extra. So normally you just have these two, but on this one you actually have an extra button which opens an extra access hatch. Now I previously had one of these before which didn't have bows, and in the video I said if it had had bows it would have had an extra subwoofer here, but actually what they've done is, and what I didn't realise at the time because I hadn't had a Targa with bows before, is that they essentially use the same setup as the cabriolet. So the subwoofer is actually in the cabin in the passenger footwell, which is exactly like the convertible version fitted with bows. So it means you've still got that practicality of using this access hatch with a nice big storage space to put luggage, to put shopping. So it really is the ultimate weekend away car. You could go a tour across Scotland, you could use that boot, you could use the boot in the front and have loads of space for everything you needed. And also this hatch is controlled by the key. So the key has a third button, just like the convertible key does, and that's soft close, so you don't slam it, you sort of hold it down and then it sort of grabs it and and puts it back into place. This car has some really nice exterior features as well, including those Carrera Classic 19-inch wheels, which are gunmetal, and then they have a sort of diamond lacquered edge to them. So really, really striking, sort of like a classic homage, classic 911 homage there. The Targa also has a chrome strip, which runs all the way to the end of the metal frame, which again makes it look a little bit different to the coupe. So you can immediately tell if you're looking at a Targa because it has this chrome strip, which is quite noticeable when you see it now. That isn't on the coupe or the convertible. What I'm going to do now is go for a quick drive and talk while I'm driving about how it drives versus the coupe and the convertible. I'm here in the driver's seat of this 997 Gen 2 Targa 4S, and I've got the blind open, so I'm letting all the light in. It's a sort of mediocre day here in the UK. There's a little bit of sun, but not a huge amount, sort of in and out, but it is quite bright, so it's a good opportunity to show the extra light that's let into the cabin as you're driving along. Now with the blind closed, let's see how much of a difference that makes. I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. It just stops the glare of the sun sort of midsummer, I think. It's not really designed to make it completely dark in here. You can actually still see the sky, see that through that sort of semi sort of like a membrane black sheet material. Well, that moves relatively quickly, and also I can open the roof at speed as well. Now it has a sort of like a wind deflector at the front edge, and because it's just the top roof panel, it doesn't actually sort of like buffet wind into the car, so you can have the roof open and it be perfectly habitable for two people to have a conversation. You could even be on the phone and it wouldn't be too encroaching. Now how it drives is very much like the coupe. It has a little bit extra rigidity compared to the 997 Cabriolet, and that's because that metal roof is clamping from all the way from the back of the car to the front. It's not to say that the Cabriolet massively vibrates or scuttle shakes, but this definitely feels more solid. I would say it doesn't feel as solid as a coupe. You do have the odd creak on these roads where it is very sort of undulating. You do occasionally hear the odd creak, but it's so minor. I'm just literally picking at any little thing that I've noticed. And this is the second one I've had, Targa 4S, and I just think they're sensational. Like I've said in the part where I was walking around the car while it was stationary, that rear hatch just adds that extra bit of practicality that the 911 really cries out for. I mean, you obviously have that section behind these driver seats where you can fold down the rear seats, so you have a bench, but being able to access them through that glass hatch at the back just makes all the difference to how you can utilize this car on a weekend trip as a couple. You could have one seat down, so there's three of you, and you could still store stuff in the back and on one side of the seat, and also in the front area there. But essentially it is the perfect everyday usable 911, and these cars are actually quite collectible now because there weren't a huge amount made. Now Porsche never sort of release figures broken down by derivatives, even by anything other than they've sold X number of 911s. That's pretty much all you get. In the US, I believe there's a little bit more information, but here in the UK, you don't know how many of each different derivative they've been made. There is a possibility that because they've been registered differently at the DVLA, so on the V5, what model it's listed as, you can look it up on a website called howmanyleft.co.uk, where you can look up the different derivatives, but I haven't actually drilled into that level of detail. But let's assume you don't know how many there are, particularly of how many are PDK, how many are manual, how many are Targa 4Ss, how many are Targa Ss or Targa 4s. But let's there's considerably fewer Targas versus coupes and cabriolets, and so that makes it collectible. I mean, having nice options as well really helps. So this car's got it's called Galvano Silver door trim. So it has the door handles, the armrest and the storage bin lid cover, and also this section here in a very light sort of aluminium. And then as a special order, also all of the trim around the vents, around even the instrument cluster, have all been spec'd in that in that case aluminium silver. So it's a lighter silver than you would typically get as standard, which is almost like a gunmetal metallic normally. So this car is spec'd really, really well, and obviously a bit of a connoisseur wanted this car from you. They've got the red belts, obviously. They wanted the more comfortable standard seats, which are very supportive. I've said in other videos as well, there's nothing wrong with these seats. It's nice to have the hardback sport seats with the big shoulders, but basically if you're using this car every day, you actually want a bit more maneuverability of your shoulders, and that's my opinion anyway. But I've been talking the whole time with the roof open, and obviously it hasn't really impacted the clarity of the sound. I've now got a mic here, so it's a bit clearer hopefully to hear me talking. I've had a few comments that I need to get a microphone. Well, I've got one now, so hopefully that's producing good sound. I'll just close up the roof again. So like I said, it can be opened and closed at speed. There's no issues with using it. So say if you suddenly get caught in a rain shower, you can shut it. As I've already said, the Targa 4S is for me the ultimate 997 Gen 2. With the PDK box, it's a car you can use all the time. You could use it on a weekend and still get a buzz from it, and yeah, really enjoy 911 ownership. The one thing to note though with regards to maintenance is that just be aware that obviously there's an extra mechanism with the roof system. The coupe obviously doesn't have that added complication, so if you're thinking about buying one, make sure you do test it properly. Verify that there's no water under the carpets in the back or the front, so that it's basically not leaking, because that can be a bit of an issue to rectify. So just do your due diligence when you buy one. But for me, this is the ultimate Porsche 911, the Targa 4S. If you like my videos and would like to see more of them, please click the subscribe button. Also, if you like this video in particular, click the like button, and feel free to comment if you have any questions or would like to inquire about this particular car or a Targa in the future. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you on another Diary of a Porsche Specialist.